7:13.
Board went into executive session 7:13, came out at 7:31 with no action taken. Basically, we had a lively discussion about the bids that have come in, and the cemetery committee and the town have been very happy with the services that have been provided thus far by House. However, we would like to go local. You guys are local, and you've shown an interest in this for a couple of years now, and we just have some questions and concerns we'd like to ask or voice and hear what you have to say before we make our choice.
Our first concern, I'll explain to you a little bit. Do you mind if I say something, Marilyn? I'm speaking now as a select board member, not on the cemetery committee. Because the cemetery committee has been very, very happy, as Mike had said, with House, anytime we've ever had a problem, all we had to do was go to him and speak to him and say, you haven't blown off the gravestones. He would go back and blow them off, didn't matter what. Graves needed to be filled in, you forgot to fill them in, he'd go fill them in. Grass seed, anything we asked of him, he did, and that's our concern with you. If we come to you and we say this, that you will, listen to us as a cemetery committee then. And then another concern we had was that the cemeteries, you must have read the caretakers' rules and regulations that you had to complete a cemetery. You don't have to do them all in one day, like the House do, but any cemetery that you do start, you have to finish at that one day.
That's definitely understandable.
That was my concern. My concern was that they get done like they're supposed to be, and that if we had a concern, you would listen to our instruction, I guess.
My feelings is, if a customer's not happy, they need to speak to us directly. We take care of the problem ASAP.
Okay.
So, that's the way I was brought up, and that's the way that we try to run our business, Customers come first.
Now, another concern that was briefly mentioned was you guys have full-time commitments already.
I don't.
Oh,
I only work seasonal in the wintertime. Summertime from either March 15th, between March 15th and April 1st, is when we finish up delivering oil. The rest of the time, it's my own. So that's one of the reasons why, I wanted to stay local in Vernon, because being on the fire department, it provides me with income, plus it keeps me local for the fire department also. So, yeah. For him, well,
In my case, I only work 4 days a week, so I have 3 days of business time.
Call that work.
Yeah. And then the times that, really it's actually 4 days, because I don't go in till night of my first shift, so there's no issues with time of doing things and getting things done.
And our cell phone numbers are in there, and anytime, I don't care if it's 11 o'clock at night, if something arises, please feel free to call.
Well, Mary Lynn is our chairman. I don't know if she will be next year. I hope she will, but so she would be your direct contact. I'm willing to. You have something else?
No.
No, I'm willing to give them a shot. Mary Lynn's willing to give them a shot.
Do we have to approve this, Mr. Chair?
Ms. O'Donnell.
I move that we approve the bid from Big Guys Property Maintenance for the mowing of the cemeteries for a bid of $16,900.
How about maintenance of the cemetery?
Maintenance of cemeteries, sorry.
Second.
I thought that's what I said.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the bid from Big Guys Property Maintenance for the maintenance of the town of Vernon cemeteries for the year 2012 in the amount of $16,900. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
look forward to a long working relationship with you guys.
Yes.
Okay, I believe we have another cemetery committee item that needs to be discussed. And is this contractual as well?
Contractual or legal?
Yeah, it could be,
Legal?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's not pending litigation, is it?
No,
we hope not.
yeah, we hope not.
I think it is under kind of a contract
Right.
thing, is it not?
Maybe, I don't know.
Mr. Chair?
I don't know.
What are we, I'm not even,
Well, maybe, because we have a contract,
Yes.
yeah.
Is it,
maybe-
hold on, is it about that
Yes.
note that was on
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
our, okay.
we have to talk about it?
Yeah, why do we have to talk about it?
I don't know.
It's
Why-
Did you see
done.
that, the response that Mike put out earlier today?
I don't think she did. I have it,
I think I only sent it to the board
probably.
and one of the interested parties.
Yeah, if we don't need to talk about it, we don't need to.
Personally, I don't think we do.
I don't either, I think it's kind of a,
Moot point.
It's a new point it now, just let it go. I
Okay.
think. Yeah, yeah,
And we're good to go.
yeah. Yep,
okay,
Thank you very
we're
much.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you,
for all your
Mary
hard
Lynn.
work.
Thank you.
Yes.
And thank you,
Definitely.
guys.
Thank you guys very much. We'll call you, you'll come to our first meeting
11
in
o'clock,
March.
right?
Mary Lynn will let you know.
I don't know, I might be on vacation in Florida.
He's starting. Keep an eye out.
You had to stir it.
All right, moving on to, I think we were going to table the tree removal because we didn't have the information we needed to have a discussion, is that correct?
Right. I forgot all the information I needed,
Oh.
sorry.
I made copies, you guys can basically take a look at this and then we can talk about the next time. This is the submittal that was made for the tree removal for, just take a look at the pictures and you can see whether or not it, in the very back, there's pictures.
You know what, I mean, if you have enough history on it, we can probably go through this quickly if you want.
Well, the real kick is, when you, and I look at this, is that there's, a submittal was made, and, basically Velco came to us and said, do you have any problems with this, right? And they had the big sketch of where the trees were going to be removed. What ended up happening was, they came back and said, is that they had talked with Millers, and that they were going to talk to the other
Butters.
abutters, and they said they didn't have a problem. We basically were like, well, if you talk with Millers and you talk with the other abutters, and they're all happy with it, then we don't have an issue with it ourselves. And that if they did talk with them, and they're not happy, they didn't talk with them.
They didn't talk with them, and the problem, I think, is when you say abutters, everybody assumes that that piece of land, excuse me,
What they did.
is an abutting piece of land, but it's not. There's a strip of Miller's land in between theirs, so they are no
But it's
longer a
visual.
butter. But it is hugely visual. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
it is, that's all you see when you open the door.
Right.
But they weren't spoken to because
They
they
weren't.
weren't.
But
And
they
they
weren't
said that
butters.
they were going to,
But part of the mitigation was, from the CPG, was that there was going to have to be trees replacing the ones that they were taking down. And there are in fact trees there, but they're probably up to my knee. I didn't walk all the way out there.
Yeah, that's like these down here.
So, in 30 years, maybe you won't be able to see that, but, it's devalued their land, their
Have they
property.
taken these trees down already?
They've already taken
Have.
them down.
Good
Now,
jeez.
it could be,
I mean, I'm
it
sorry,
could be
Lynn.
taken care of just by planting like some oak trees or something in between
Right.
the bushes that they have there.
Right.
That would easily take care of blocking the view, and that's all the homeowners want. They don't want to be able to, to have to look out, and that's what they see for the next 30 years, because it does devalue their property.
right, and what I ended up sending the email to Chris Carr from Velco, and I said, the Vernon Selectboard reviewed the final plan last night. This was on August 31st, 2010. The Vernon Selectboard reviewed the final plan last night. I had highlighted the different areas as well as posted the drawing next to an aerial photo of the plant local area. The board approves the final plan as presented based on two conditions. The conversation and conclusion with the local abutters is provided to the board in a formal letter from Velco. And in 1 year's time, Velco reps the abutters identified in the letter and the board to meet to look at the subject area from the Governor Hunt Road / Town Hall to assure that it still meets all of our aesthetic expectations. It is difficult for anyone to really appreciate what the area will look like until after the trees are removed. Allowing the work to be completed and a little time to pass before discussing how the area looks will assure that the best interest of everyone involved are served. So that was in August of 2010, and, well, we're past that. And so what needs to happen is that they would then talk with
But you said a year
Susan
from when the
Hudson.
trees come down.
I'm sorry?
You said a year from when the trees come down, didn't you? The trees just came down.
Did they just come down?
Yeah.
Okay. So then, well, let's see what it says, 1 year time.
That's horrible.
Well, in 1 year time, it doesn't say after, it just says in 1 year time, Velco reps the abutters identified in the letter and the board to meet to look at the subject area from the Governor Hunt Road Town Hall. So I think what needs to happen is just to talk to Susan Hudson and just say is that in accordance with the recommendation from the Select Board, as far as the contingencies from the approval that was made, is that, the Velco reps and the abutters need to get together and have a formal meeting and talk about what any concerns, if there are concerns, now that it's down, and what those concerns are.
Did you receive a positive response from that email?
That was a long time
That's
ago.
2010.
Well, it's 2010.
But did they say, yeah, that sounds great, this is what we'll do?
Chris Carr said thank you.
Okay, okay.
She didn't quibble with it, she just said thank you. And
But-
that,
Wasn't part of the Public Service Board's approval of this, though, that the mitigation be positively appreciated after the whole job was done by the town? I mean, wasn't that in the Public Service Board?
I don't think that we saw that, the final dispensation of what happened. We'd have to ask Susan Hudson for a copy of the final decision from the A&R and what happened. So
In the meantime, we can contact her and say, "Look, this is what was discussed 2 years ago, this is how we'd like to
well,
move
1
forward."
year ago, but, yeah.
And
But I think it's kind of interesting that, they have a year from that day, if that in case is the way it is.
It was
they have
just
a year
to
from
set
that.
it a year from August 21st.
Right.
And
So they pull the trees down a year from August
Exactly, a
in
year.
September.
Yeah.
So our hands may be tied.
I don't know. I think it really comes down to seeing what they took from us, in the letter, and put all that together, and then whatever they came out with the final, is to say, hey, listen, as the board, this is what we told Velco our approval was based on, and we'd like to have a formal, it may not be right now, but at least to schedule out at some point in time, have a formal meeting where the board and the abutters and Velco, and it'll end up being with VY2, because there's certain reasons why the trees got taken down to allow for, because there's certain requirements for the Met Tower.
That tower, yeah.
And
I know all
because of that, that have to be satisfied. So by saying is that we're going to set up a formal meeting, when it's going to be, I would imagine that, the abutters will be happy to know that a meeting is coming up, and they'll be able to air their,
I think that's a great way to handle it. Let's set up a meeting and say to Velco, what are you going to do?
well, I think it's that we have the pictures, right, in the package of,
Yeah.
and you turn around, and in the spring, when it leaves out, and you put the pictures up, and you say, so that we can have it, so it looks to be the same, right, with leaves, pictures are with leaves.
Oh, I don't know if you've looked, these aren't trees with leaves. These are just kind of like evergreen bushes, is what they've planted
That's what
there.
they all
Oh.
plant.
No, but I
Yeah.
meant, what
Down
is
here.
you do is you say is, okay, wait a minute, here's what it used to look like this is what it looks like now, and this is not acceptable.
Right, and we could do that, and we could ask for a meeting sooner rather than later and do that. We don't have to wait till
Yeah.
springtime, is
Right.
what I'm saying.
Yep.
Because none of this is like that. I mean, this, they never complained because of what, all you can see is trees.
Right.
Now it's, I mean, the trees that they planted are so low to the ground that they hide nothing.
Right.
So-
The only other way to deal with that is the fact is that, you know, if nobody else had a problem, is it's all in perception. If you turn around, like this pen, this close to me, blocks you. If they plant trees up closer to the abutters along the edge, say, of the Miller farm, it also takes care of the same thing instead of way far away.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter how far away you plant them. A 4-foot tree isn't going to hide anything, and that's
It
the
would-
problem. That's what
right.
they did. They needed to plant trees, and they put 4-foot bushes in, and that's not going to cover anything. So, you know, I think that, I mean, if you have the contacts, if not, I certainly would be happy to make the phone calls and say, you know, within the next couple of weeks or next month or so, we would like to have a meeting with Velco and,
I'd like to see what the final letter looked like and have it sent, you know, so that we have it well, but, you know, the final dispensation because of what, or the ruling by A&R was.
okay.
And then once we have that, and then also to schedule the meeting with the abutters and the board and you know, so if you have the time, if you could call Susan, that would be great. But you have a copy of the letter that that addressed to Susan as far as, and the docket number for the aesthetic mitigation plan for the Vernon substation. So you have the docket number and the title of the letter and the date. You can pinpoint exactly to what, you know, she needs to be looking at.
Okay. And so you're looking for the letter?
The public document. Sorry?
Okay.
And then I think that if we all saw what the final, what we said in our meeting, was communicated to Chris Carr, and then what the final letter or the ruling was from the A&R, then we can then basically, and then knowing that when that meeting, when it's going to be, then we're prepared to be able to say as, well, in reality, and maybe beforehand, A&R really didn't take into account what our contingencies were and what our decision was based on. Because it was just like down the
Katrina wanted you to
transformer.
leave the,
If you're going to put it in you know,
the things we're not
React- the
working,
shunt
step
reactor,
adjustments, if you,
which is a
so
transformer.
she don't have to.
The noise
Or
of
keep 'em,
that,
so she doesn't
they
have
measured
to.
it beforehand. But the real
Copy
kick
'em
here
again.
is the removal of the trees turned around and took out the shielding
Right.
for the shunt
Yeah,
reactor,
that's
right?
right.
So we took the measurements of the trees, then they're going to install a shunt reactor. They're going to end up having to plant trees to basically mitigate, or build a wall to mitigate the noise from the shunt reactor. So they didn't do themselves any favors here.
Has anybody even, the Gilberts, have
Oh,
they
yeah.
tried to speak with any of these people?
Yeah, she talked to Chris Carr, is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She said, Andy took the trees down.
It was,
She said, what?
I know that's not, I've
Yeah.
talked to everybody involved, I know that was not the case.
So are we on a clear path of how to move
Yep.
forward? Okay. The 4-day work week discussion, I didn't get the documentation I was hoping for from Sally to kind of back up what I was looking to accomplish, so we can table that. On to new business. What?
Do we need anything in documentation? Why can't we?
The documentation I was looking for basically stated how much overtime has been occurring since departments went to 4-day work weeks.
well, it wasn't just that, too. Remember, we did this study about a year afterwards, and she did a study and came back and said that there was no savings as far as energy efficiency, because we had thought about was that if everybody went to that, we basically might be able to, and we lowered the thermostats. The problem is the way that the heating system works, that doesn't happen. and you really don't, we aren't getting the electrical savings, we're not getting the heating savings. So in reality, there's no savings to having a 4-day work week versus a 5-day work week. The issue comes in is that unless the certain departments, under law, my understanding is unless Richard basically can provide for clarification of this, under the law, it says is that the treasurer and the town clerk manage their departments and set the hours as necessary. That's their responsibility to do. And the library isn't under our control either. It has separate trustees. So when it comes down to the only person, the individuals that we can end up saying who we're going to basically set the time for is the custodians
Hourly employees,
and the road department.
hourly employees.
We can't even say it for the.
Oh, no, because that's their department.
No, you have to,
That's
you'd
right.
have,
Right.
because Sally and Sandy are under
They're
no
elected
obligation
officials,
by us.
Absolutely.
And the
But
listers.
Yeah.
And no, the listers too, yeah. Any elected official. But we can say that the doors will be open at the town office for those other than elected personnel.
You
Or,
could say that, or in the fact is that the individuals are going to be here, because the real kick is, and this is one of the things that I worry about, is that if the custodian isn't here, right, who's making sure that the entrances to the building, as well as, especially for the police department, are maintained so that when people come in, or for the library, if they're going to be open, the only time that we have the discretion, and we need to basically make sure that we remind people of this soon, is that we put into place, the policy for closing of the town hall. Is that if we have a pending storm that's a big one, that we have the ability to say is, listen, this is going to be unsafe conditions, we're going down to basically our only the people, just like Brattleboro does,
Emergency personnel.
only necessary people in order to run to continue to keep the town going. Road crew, police, fire. And that we just say is, otherwise, if you don't have to go out, don't go out, and the town hall is closed. And I really think that we need to make sure that we've got the I's dotted and the T's crossed on that one. And make sure that to remind people soon that that is what the policy is. And that's specifically to make sure that we don't put people in harm's way that don't need to be.
well, I think that, and that's another issue, but on the 4-day work week, I think the town office should be open 5 days a week. I feel that the highway crew should be on a 5-day work week, and the elected officials can choose what they, to open their office or not open their office. But the town office will be open 5 days a week, and the highway is to go back on a 5-day work week. That's my,
It's interesting, because when I went to a 9-day work week, Monday through Thursday, living as close to the plant as I do, I found it to be more of a hassle on a 9. It almost is that the Friday off is nice, but it almost is a negative instead of being a positive.
well,
And simply because it's longer day, I don't get as good a workout, in the morning because I'm more tired, so I'm not working out as often, and I don't get to spend as much time at home.
Plus, I
in the
think you lose your
evening.
concentration on a 10-hour workday,
yep.
more than you do an 8.
Well, the thing
Those
is
last 2
that,
hours, you're pretty tired.
it's not like, you all did a survey in 2009, I wasn't on the board then, and you got maybe 1 or 2, people more that said that they wanted the town office open than you did, that didn't care. But it's those 1 or 2 that pay for that service. If they need it on a Friday, they don't have it. But this way, we've said, yes, we should have it, and if the elected individuals choose to close their office, they have every right to.
I'd like to see us try to stagger hours. I mean,
Exactly.
Well, there you
again,
go.
that's not up to us, but, most of the people who live in Vernon work 9 to 5, 8 to 4, somewhere around there. So it's not always easy to access the town office building. I'd like to see us stay open one night a week, so that people in town that need services of the town office can get them, but that's not up to us to say.
No, because it really hasn't benefited the town's people at all, because they close up at 5 or 5:30, and people are getting out at 5, 5:30, and it's not helping anybody. So it doesn't, I just think it should be open, and then let the elected officials, like the town clerk, town treasurer, and the auditors, it would be up to them. You know, I mean, they're right.
But if we say that the town office is going to be open 5 days a week, you're saying that those two doors are going to be unlocked, but if the treasurer's office and the town clerk's office is
No,
still closed, the
that
town
would
office
be
really
for-
isn't open.
I know, but that would be for, you know, like maintenance be here 5 days a week. And then one can only hope that they would open those doors. I mean, you know, that would be up to the people. You know,
Well,
I
let me
mean, I
ask
don't
you,
know.
playgroups here 5 days a week.
Yes, they are.
So does that mean none of the bathrooms and stuff get cleaned on Friday?
That's right.
After all the kids have been in them?
I mean, I would assume.
I don't know the answer to that.
I don't
but you're
either. I would just
absolutely right.
assume.
That's been an issue. The schools are open 5 days a week. The police department's open. The library's open.
Yeah, what happens if it snows on a Friday? People have to shop.
Sometimes I drive by and Mike's car's here on a Friday. Sally's usually here on Fridays. I mean, the way it was sold in order to save money is not happening.
It should be shut, if we're gonna have it open 4 days, it should be shut down on Friday. And that
That's the
means
whole way to save the
that
money.
nobody's here,
Yes, exactly, Bobby, you're correct.
not
If you're going to shut it, shut it.
But
If
you
you're not,
can't
you're
do
not.
it.
do it
we
like to
have
do
the-
everything else.
But we
Yes.
have you know, the playgroup and nursery school, is that's a commitment that was made, is that support is going to be given. And if we have people here working, and we really need to have custodial staff. So it really comes down to,
Town office being open 5 days a week.
well, and saying is that we're going to have custodial staff that's going to be supporting that 5 days a week.
I think there's a point to me saying that, you know, so that hopefully that the town clerk and the town treasurer and the auditors and listers would come on board and open their offices for 5 days a week.
Well, you hit the nail on the head, it should be staggered. They
It should
all
be open one
staggered.
night a week so that townspeople who are working
They
can get
could
here.
still get their 4-day work week, and the town office would be still open 5 days a week.
Make them,
Right.
You know what? I don't
Somebody
think
their
gets up Monday,
offices
somebody
open at
takes
a
up
later
Friday.
time and close at a later time, you know, like 10 to 6, get their hours 10 to 6 or something like
a
that.
lot
I
of
mean,
town offices do that. They
Yeah.
don't open until noontime on one day, but they're open until
It
7 or
really
8
should
that
be the
night. and
convenience of the townspeople, the people that pay for this building.
I don't think
that's
townspeople would care about it only being open 4 days if one of them
No,
wasn't
right. If somebody was open long enough for them to,
be able to do business.
I called all around New Hampshire. I needed a town clerk, and they're only open 3 days a week.
Well, you can go around a lot of Vermont and find there are only some that are open
That's
3
right.
days a week. The smaller towns, a lot of them aren't open.
Well, they can't afford
they actually
Right.
can't afford it.
But they only have like one town clerk that's a town clerk treasurer.
These are
And,
bigger
you know,
towns.
there's 500 people in the town. So they're not open
Mm-hmm.
those kinds of hours.
These are larger towns.
So we're spinning our wheels here
Yeah.
without the input of
It may end up happening.
everyone else.
Yeah, but what about the highway then? That would be my motion. Open the doors 5 days a week.
Kind of what I'm getting at.
I would say that to put the support crew back on 5 days a week with, and a recommendation that the elected officials should consider to having their offices open 5 days a week, but also staggering their hours to provide for more access on one night a week so that people can then come into the offices.
Second that.
And that it would be, and such that hours, and they would, all the elected officials would basically come to an agreement what day would be the best for them to be open later, so that it's one-stop shopping, and that everybody in the town knew that on one night, they can come in, and whether it's the library or the the lister's office, you know, the town clerk's office or the treasurer's office, they can basically get service.
Yes.
Even if it's only till 7 one night a week, it
Yeah.
would just give
Yeah.
open access to everybody in Vernon.
It used to be, and Sandy even was open on Thursday evenings. And even before her, it was open on Thursday evenings, because that's when the select board met.
I was
So
just going to say
yeah.
that she would stay up there till 7 and then
Right.
come down here for select board.
Yeah, yes, but I'm sorry, I butted in, okay. Because we all know I do that, for me too. Even before Sandy, they did that, not just because they had worked here, but because, you know,
And if you
for the
turn
convenience of
around,
the townspeople.
and think about it, if you turn around and you had one night that everybody was open, including the library, and on that night was a reading group to children, and the parents could come in and conduct business, and the kids could, you know, for a period of time, whether it was an hour or
Yeah,
whatnot.
that's a wonderful idea, I
You
like
could
that
have
a
reading
lot.
to the kids and basically have different storytellers come in and basically have it so it was, not only could the parents basically get their work done, but the kids could basically be entertained at that period of time.
And it makes us much more of a community center again.
Yes,
it
Which is
does.
what we're really
Need to get
lacking
back
in
to,
this
yes.
town.
Yeah, it really
Speaking
is.
of community center, that you brought that up, that also, I started having at my home, a sewing class on Thursday evenings. You know, I'd like to see that back here again instead of at my home. You know, I think we could get more people. I can't fit that many people
I
in
started
my
years
home.
ago when I was on the select board at the school. I'm on the school board. We had a community education program we started, and we had learning how to use computers. So we used the computer lab at the school. We had a sewing, quilting class. We had toll painting. Donna Scully actually started at the school, at the program I started, the community education program, and we had hunter's
safety
safety
course,
for
yep.
kids. And the whole point is to bring the community back into
Yes.
the school and build that
Maybe
community
back into
center
here,
back up
yeah.
again, because we're losing a lot of that hominess we all had. And we all know that. We've all been in Vernon long enough to know there's been a huge change in this town in
Yes, it
10,
has.
15 years.
Yes, it has.
And I'd love to see us do something to bring that back, so we get that community spirit going back again.
So what's the will of the board?
I seconded his motion.
And that motion was to have all support staff,
Which is the custodians and the road crew.
which would be the custodians and the road crew, to return to a 5-day work week with a strong
Recommendation.
recommendation to the elected officials that they would follow suit.
And that they,
And we would stagger our hours
and maybe find a one night a week.
to try and everyone, you know, elected officials could still keep, well, I'm going into too much depth, but we would stagger our hours in order to allow possibly one night a week, only maybe up until 7 o'clock, where people who still can't make it to the offices would be able to utilize the
And you
services.
know, they really
Services.
wouldn't even have to go to a 5-day work week to do that, because they both have assistants. So they could stay open one night a week and not work Fridays, and their assistants could not work Monday.
Right.
Well-
They could be there Monday and their assistant there on Friday. I mean, it can be
Yeah.
done even, my whole thing is I would just like to see the town office open and
Office is
accessible.
open.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Right.
That's what, because it's
How
up to
they,
them,
how they turn
how they do
how they
it.
manage their.
That's right.
That's up to them,
That's up
but
to
I
them.
really would like to see the town offices
Exactly.
open more.
Yes, that's exactly the motion.
And the thing about it is, what we first started off was with the 4-day, and not doing it that way was because we're gonna save money on heat and
Yeah,
electric.
blah, blah, yeah.
And guess what? It didn't come back. So staggering it, one off on Monday, one off on Friday, that works because we're not seeing the savings anyway.
Right. And then the town office is more, and I would like to see us as a select board and people in this building as community leaders try to start thinking of programs and things that we can do more to bring
Yes.
people back into this building. And like you said, the sewing, that was a great idea, you know? Maybe we could work in conjunction with Seth and bring back some of the other programs that we used to do in town. I know Seth tried for a long time to keep them up, but you know, people get sick of teaching the course, and so maybe we can rejuvenate that and make this again, because that's what this is the town's building.
It's never used anymore.
No.
It isn't. And like I said, I certainly would be willing to, you know, start teaching again, sewing and anything, crochet, knitting,
People used to
anything.
take
I
their
can do
portable
it all.
sewing machines and go out there and put them on the table, and they'd sit here, you know, half the time the women didn't get anything done, but they had a wonderful time
Yeah,
doing it,
exactly.
you know, and there was that camaraderie,
Lot
that
of-
community
lot of
spirit
women,
going on,
yep.
and I think we need that.
The real
I do
kick
too.
is, you know, and it'd be like, well, what about the town
Bobby can
policy?
take knitting.
What about the town policy for the use of the building? And it's like,
I'll teach you.
have a sponsoring group, and you basically take care of it.
Yep.
And it's not a stumbling block.
I mean, we used the school because I was on the school board, and the school
Right.
was a bigger building, and that we were trying to, it was
Should I
almost
write
PR
that
for the
motion
school,
down?
but you can do the same thing here.
Or should we?
It's on the table.
Okay.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Very good. You'll
We'll
get.
each get in touch with our liaisons.
Yep.
Mine's simple.
Mine doesn't have anything to do with it.
That brings us to the ratification of the police officer wage. There was a recommendation by Mary Beth Hebert to hire a new part-time officer at a grade 7, step 10, for $17.82 an hour, based on his previous experience.
20 years of
So,
service.
right before the correspondence section in your book is the copy of the email.
Yes, 20 years of experience in law enforcement, which was ratified by 3 members via email. I would just like another motion to officially do it here.
So moved.
Second. Whoops.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the recommendation of Mary Beth Hebert for a new part-time officer to be grade 7, step 10 at $17.82 an hour, based on 20 years of previous law enforcement experience. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Abstains? Okay. And then finally, that leaves us with the budget. Are we going to go into that into any great detail, or are we going to spend more time thinking about it?
I haven't even really, to be honest, boo-hoo on me, but I haven't even taken a look at our budget.
I know of some things that will increase it, but I haven't gone into any great detail with
Well,
it either.
yeah,
Things like,
for our own budget.
I know, the safety line is when you take a look at, what we started to do is to look at eye wash stations. We bought an eye wash station for this building, for the town road crew. But we need at least one more, possibly at the road department, one more here, and maybe 1 or 2 at the fire station. We're doing an assessment of the needs right now, and the standalones are $329 a pop. And they require every 2 years, it's not cheap for the refills. The
Well, we
refills
also
are-
need to, think about, contributions and get our employee appreciation.
One of them is double that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
and
cut
I've-
back
and-
a lot, and it's starting to bite us now, but things like that. BCTV is really, really anxious for us to get a new camera, one that would be a standalone that would allow people to.
I think this year we better do what we need to do, because maybe next year we might not be able to.
But let's all look at our budgets and
Yeah.
throw that on top of budget meeting, which would be the 5th.
Right now, what do we have for equipment in this year's line for the select board?
I even forgot my book.
New replacement equipment and supplies.
When do we have to have the budget done for?
When did they need it to go to the printers by?
January.
Yeah, the first week in January?
Yep.
That gives us a month. I mean, we're really
Yeah.
ready to get going on this.
Yes, we do. You're right, absolutely. There, select board.
We didn't even start budget.
What were you talking about, safety? What were you saying, equipment? We don't have equipment.
Supplies.
Didn't.
When I was
We
on the
only had
board, we had
1,000 in
we
it.
had the budget done before
So we
Christmas
need
every
to-
year.
Well, that's
Is that the
probably
one that
good
we're gonna
practice.
Yeah.
consider putting the,
Well, you have your budget, we can
I
go
think
through it.
fluff?
No, I was gonna say is that as far as for Mike this year and for BCTV is to
Yeah, 'cause
ask
we have
Sally if
that.
that's coming out of the $1,000.
That, you know, we have that $1,000 there.
This one?
Yeah,
All
for
right.
the new equipment.
I'll add that to my list to Sally.
Okay.
I actually have to get together with Todd and maybe you and I together kind of help him with his budget because it's his first time through this process and he's kind of really gotten a lot dumped on him. That's really not very fair.
Yeah, we
Seems a
sat
little
down and
confused.
talked. We had Jay and Mike Pratt and me and Todd, and we spent probably about an hour talking about the budget. And then, but I'd be glad to go down and, just schedule and we can do that with him.
Okay. You see him more than I do if you want to schedule a time that's convenient. You know, obviously this week's not very good.
Yeah.
But next week I'm around at night, any night, so, you know, and I also would like us to think about gas cards for the fire department.
Yes.
And, you know, I have no idea what would even be considered, $50 gas card. I have no idea.
Yeah,
Would that be per year? Like a year thing, 50?
there's a lot of different ways to acknowledge, firefighters.
Well, I know Guilford does the gas card, so maybe we could call somebody in Guilford, find out what it is that they do.
Yeah.
You know,
It would
it's
be
with the
Jared.
cost of gas going up all the time. I mean,
I'll
it
ask
helps.
Jared, see how that they basically did that.
Jared,
Bristol, did
okay,
Jared Bristol?
yeah.
This chief in Guilford? What happened to the other guy?
He,
Dan stepped down like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
No
He's
kidding.
Jared.
been chief for probably 18 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
I gave,
I've been asleep.
I gave Jared's
Good
wife
grief.
a copy of
Oh, I know,
I
I
was,
wasn't on the board.
the
Or I would have
acting
known.
scoutmaster
2 years?
when I
2009.
took the kids down to Treasure Valley to scout camp. And Jared he was a kid. He loves that picture.
They both have always been very nice kids.
Yeah.
Very, very nice kids.
Mr. Chairman? Okay to make a motion?
No, I have one last thing here. I have the annual assessment from Rescue Inc. that is asking for my signature in order to at least begin the contractual obligations for 2012, 2013. The 2010 census numbers are giving Vernon a population of 2206 with an assessment of 21.22 per person, which would be a subtotal of $46,811.32.
So moved. Somebody second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to allow me to sign the contract for provision of emergency medical services for 2012-2013 based on an assessment from Rescue Inc., which states that the population is 2206 and an assessment rate of 21.22, which would give us a subtotal of $46,811.32. Is there any discussion?
Do you see that? I was just looking to see what if they had the assessment.
Was it, where's their, normally they have a
I
thing.
thought it was $21,
Yeah, I thought it was too.
so it's
It's
basically,
close, it's only up.
21.22.
Yeah.
yeah, so it went up 22 cents
Yeah,
per
they have a,
capita, which is somewhere in the order of, what is that? 1%?
46,000, oh,
And I just got this tonight,
when are you
so
gonna be
if we want
1%? It's not 1%.
if we want to wait and research it more,
21 to 21.
I don't have a problem with that.
I'm thinking
I bet it's
it's right.
0.7%, something like
It
that.
doesn't- it didn't go up
0.07%.
I'm be fine with you
0.07.
signing.
Tell me how close I am. Please, Lord. Would it be .07? We're all headed to Petra. You didn't hear me, Patty.
I'm sorry.
Never mind.
I was busy trying to put my budgets together over here, because most of what I have is what Katrina sent us, which was the 2009 budget.
Yeah, I'll send you another copy.
Yeah, I
because
never
got
did
one
get
today.
one. Okay.
So it's,
Yeah, these are bad.
1%.
1%.
Wow.
so it's just slightly over 1.0104%.
What's that, the increase in?
So I was almost close.
Well, I think that
Right?
most
Not 7%,
organizations
I meant.
realize if they have huge increases, they're not going
0.0.
to get anything because people can't afford it this year.
Yeah, I know. I'm off.
6%.
I know, but that, I'm not talking percent though.
So, is
I
there any
mean-
further discussion?
That's right. No. What I meant. I
Hearing
said it
none,
wrong.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
You're talking one like that.
That's
I
all
was
I have.
talking-
Does anybody else have anything else?
Mr. Chair,
Ms. O'Donnell?
I move that we adjourn.
I was talking that. See what I mean? 1%, not a full percent.
It's been moved and seconded to, I'm sorry. Does the media
Oh.
have anything?
I'm sorry, Chris. I'm not used to you still being here at this time of night.
You're home in bed.
So it has been approved that the custodial staff and highway department will go back to a 5-day work week effective immediately,
I would say next Monday, right?
starting next Monday, and it has been recommended for elected officials to do the same and also stagger their hours to open to make it more convenient for townsfolk.
That's correct.
So they're going to read this in the reformer.
Better get on the
Are you going
horn.
in tonight? Is this going to be in tomorrow's paper?
Or Wednesdays.
Well, it's going to be submitted tonight. I don't have any authority when it's done.
Can you submit it tomorrow morning?
I'm kidding.
I mean, the only person that
He's not gonna take a liking to it. It's the highway.
Well, you can't,
Well-
there's nothing you can do about it.
I know.
You're gonna call them. and
it was on the agenda. It's been on the agenda for 2 weeks.
Yeah, and you can't call people at 20 after 8.
Yeah.
Right.
You will call him tomorrow.
I will call him
the
right in
town
the morning
offices
tomorrow. Yep.
and Unfortunately, it's not the way I think communicate, but
Who's talking to Mike?
Mike Coughlin?
Oh,
That would be Mike, him.
He might be on vacation this week.
Yeah, it's hunting season, yeah.
but it was on the agenda, so.
We are always caught in that.
Yes, we
because of
are.
the being on BCTV and
And yes,
the newspaper and,
Yep.
you know,
Yeah, you could add that little blurb.
I know a couple of town employees watch us live, so it's well known. Anything else?
Already out around about town.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to adjourn. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone. Next meeting will be December 5th,
Bobby.
same place, same
Have a
time.
wonderful Thanksgiving, everyone.